Marvel Rivals, the hit 6v6 that took the gaming community by storm with their flashy cosmetics, fun gameplay, and nostalgic characters. Whether it was the Marvel comics you grew up with or the Marvel Cinematic Universe that introduced them, this game has been out nearly a year from its original release date, and yet the devs of the game keep introducing new and intuitive ways to keep me hooked onto the game. With Season 4 just underway and 2 new heroes, one of which has been added, it seems this game is going to sail away to golden shores. But for me though, I'm here to talk about my favorite role in the game, which always keeps me entertained no matter how many matches I'm losing, and that is tanks, or as the game calls them, vanguards. In most 5v5 or 6v6 games, I am always somehow attracted to playing the tankier characters, whether it's the fact that they are natural powerhouses, or that they are perceived as easy is beyond the fact for me. Because no matter what, they are the most fun role in any game. So I just naturally attract to them. In a game like Overwatch, I enjoyed playing the game with heroes such as Reinhardt, Roadhog, and Winston, at least before they added those godforsaken characters. I only have a little issue with the Ram mains, but outside of that, y'all are pretty okay. Primarily because it felt like a team wipe with those certain characters. Hazard mains. You know where you stand. Dirty, 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 dirty people. Made you feel like someone's just trying to prove their strength to the gods of Overwatch. While in this game, it feels like every single tank are absolute demons. They're gods, literally and metaphorically. So now we're gonna get into the main event of the video. Which tank do I think is all around best tank to play in Marvel Rivals as a Diamond 1 casual tank main? Here we're going to be starting with one of my favorite tanks, Dr. Strange. Stephen Strange started off to me as a big shield tank, but when I got to play him a little bit more, I figured he was more than the shield that he controls. Strange is one of the, if not the, most versatile tank in my opinion. His strength in both the back and the front line of your team is nothing to take lightly. In Season 0, he had a team up with Hulk, which allowed him to further his damage with one of his strongest abilities, the Maelstrom of Madness. But since he lost that ability in Season 2, he felt a little bit less in a sense. It wasn't until recently that I started picking Strange back up again in Season 3, due to his versatility on maps. Whether he was in the back or front lines, he was always an issue. Using the melee plus primary fire plus Maelstrom combo on heals, tanks, and DPS really made a huge impacting difference. Strange is also a very clutch pick character in the sense that his portal is one of the most crucial and strategic parts of his kit. Being able to prolong the game and possibly win the game, or being able to block off the enemy team from touching the point, that ability is crucial. I like to use it a lot when my team is in a sticky situation. 80% left on a point, you portal, you get on point, it goes into overtime, hopefully you win your battle. And that portal would have been worth it. In other ways, I like to use it by blocking off people from exiting their spawn point. My favorite place to do that is the Yggdrasil path. Right on the end, on the third point, the enemy team has 2 exits. If you were able to block both exits by blocking it with a portal, they're then stuck there, just waiting for the portal to go down, and then you get a free lane to just go down with the point and save time and resources. Then there's his ult. Strange's ult is by far one of the strongest ults amongst the tank roster by far. Being able to stun your opponents and keep them from moving, shooting, or healing is a huge game changer. So if I were to rank Strange as a tank, I'd put him as an easy S. Now here's the thing about the Thing. At the end of Season 1.5, when the Thing dropped, he was an absolute tyrant. You couldn't go one game without seeing this absolute unit of a boulder charging towards you in your backline. He was an anti-CC. He couldn't get pushed by the Invisible Woman, he couldn't be thrown by Jeff, and he couldn't be tackled by Wolverine. He was an absolute demon. His stone haymaker, or his right click after a charge, would almost certainly mean the end for your healers in the backline. But when it all seemed so good for Ben, things started getting grim. When she dropped. When Emma Frost dropped in Season 2, she was the immediate pick to stop this guy from charging your back line. She choked the life out of him so bad that he went from a goated pick to a throw pick in high diamond low GM lobbies. then things only got worse when Ultron dropped, because then it became Flyer Central. What I mean by that is that whenever nobody wanted to play a flyer, such as Human Torch, Iron Man, Ultron, the thing couldn't get him. He is stuck on the ground trying to deliver damage to those who are above, but he just can't do it. Even at that point in Season 2, Thing had one team up, which was the Fantastic Four team up, which is still in the game since Season 1. This was a team up that Invisible Woman would grant the members of the Fantastic Four shield to protect them and give them a bonus health. Now, since then, things started to look a little bit more fantastic for the Level Brock as he got more team-ups and an ability to knock down flyers, so it'd be fair for him. In one of his other team-ups, he joined Hulk to be able to throw Wolverine around the map. In his newest team-up, he is able to be carried and thrown by Human Torch. So you get to see this flying boulder come down from the heavens and destroy your team. But even so, with all these team-ups, I see less and less of the Thing in my games, and more of every other tank. So all I can see him being right now is a solid C tier tank. Now, even though one of the Payne brothers may be worse for wear, his older brother is still a heck of a powerhouse. Hulk since launch has been one of the most aggressive tanks in the game. His ability to jump into your backline with ease to deliver heavy damage, stun enemies, and shield himself has put him an edge above the rest of the other tanks. Though in my true opinion, Hulk is only as valuable as his team-up counterparts are. His Gamma Charge team-up has been in use since the launch of Season 0. And though the users of the ability have changed from Iron Man and Strange to Namor and Black Panther, these team-ups put already powerful characters like Iron Man with his Unibeam and Namor with his Squids to already greater heights to deal higher damage. But even though his team-up ability put him a cut above the rest, Hulk on his own is still nothing to scoff at. His overall kit is so helpful. His passive ability to grab characters in the air in order to bring them down to do damage to them brings an overwhelming sense of glee. I mean, anytime I land that on an Iron Man who has been annoying my backline, I enjoyed that so much. Now his ultimate, while basically being his kit with a little bit of knockback and a little bit more power, is still very useful. This gives him the chance to have more health and dexterity and keep him in his hulking state a little longer in a clutch situation. Now, even if you get him out of his hulking state, Bruce Banner with his high speed pistol and knockback grenade is still a versatile piece of his kit. Therefore, including all of his team up Hulk gets, with his base kit, I'd wager that Hulk is still a solid low A to high B tank. But for the sake of clarity, I'll put him in A. Well, since we've gone through two of the melee tanks on the roster, I may as well go through a third one. The other melee tank that has the most ups and downs since he came down from the thundering skies, it would have to be Thor. Thor has gone through a roller coaster of high capability and low capability throughout his career. In Season 0, Thor was a high damage tank with the team up to boot. But beyond his high damage and his ultimate, he felt like he was missing something. His early beginnings gave him an electrical team up with Storm and Captain America, which buffed his damage a little bit more. But when you took a look at his kit, he wasn't really that powerful. The early use of his lightning realm wasn't too useful either. It'd slow people down, sure, but that's all it really would do. And they didn't even go that slow. It wasn't until they really upgraded him in Season 3 that it got a bit more valuable. Thor for a long time was basically a D tier tank. He wasn't really that great. His left click was that comparable as Hulk punches, so it did very high damage, but even so, his Storm Surge ability where he's able to charge into opponents either gave the opponents an opening to do high damage upon him, or it was just a little push for him to push another character down or keep them away from their team for just a small amount of time. Now, for a long time, I will be honest, I did not realize that Thor had more than just 3 abilities. For a long time, I used Mjolnir Bash into Storm Surge and used Lightning Realm to use another Hammer Throw. I had no idea that the Awakening Rune ability was even there. For 2 seasons, I would play Thor and I would never even touch the Awakening Rune ability. It wasn't until season 3 where I really kind of got to play him that I started to use it and realized how good it was. The Awakening Rune ability is his highest dealing damage projectile that he has. Doing a combo with a Storm Surge into a Mjolnir Bash, into a Hammer Throw, into a Lightning Realm, into a Hammer Throw with an Awakening Rune could take out most tanks if they are not getting healed. In Season 3, he got more valuable, and I'm going to tell you why. Being able to bring down flyers who went through his Lightning Realm, and it did a bit of stun damage, made its value much better. And it wasn't until his new rework in Season 4 that he went from another low C and high D tier tank to an average high B to low A tank. He's become a force to be reckoned with. So seeing the way that Thor is now, and I see that he is an average all-around tank, being able to play the back line and deal high damage while also playing the front line and being able to get away quickly, is pretty good. He's also got 2 team-ups though. Since the beginning of the game, he's had a team up with Hela, where if Hela gets a kill when Thor is down, Thor will be revived with some amount of health in order to get back into the action and do high damage. But now, in Season 4, Thor was given another team up with his blood sister, and we'll get into that one a little bit later. So overall, with everything, I would honestly put Thor in B tier. Now, giving a change of pace, we shall go to another ranged tank. And this ranged tank is one of the most powerful and most game-changing characters coming from the House of M, Magneto. Magnus himself is a pretty simple character. His primary fire is a simple burst projectile that does high damage. His right click is a knockback ability that has varying damage depending on how much metal he has collected over time. Then there's his shield and his bubble mechanic. His bubble he can throw onto himself or his teammates, can make them invincible for 2.5 seconds, or if the bubble has 300 damage done onto itself. But since Season 0, Magneto has had one single thing that put him one hell of an edge above every tank without team-ups. His ultimate. Mag's ultimate is a giant metal ball of kinetic energy and, well, tons of metal, and with a great move comes a great name, Meteor M. In relations with Magneto's great base, Asteroid M. This ability is the ult that ends almost all ults. Bullets and projectiles are swallowed up and used to supply the meteor to throw back at any unfortunate soul. Now those said souls are most likely going to end up being any healer, or more importantly, ulting healers, cloak and dagger mans. I'm looking at you guys. Because a heal ult like Rockets has too much reinforcement and health, therefore you can't bring it down with Meteor M. But the rest of the healing roster is fair game. It takes only about 250 damage to take down most healers, and the ult at max damage does about 350 damage. So max healer ults like Cloak and Dagger, Invisible Woman, Luna Snow, and Mantis are almost indefinitely dead if they are hit dead on by the ult. Jeff is also dead, as his ult leaves him dead center and very easy to hit. Now, with his team-ups, his first one with Scarlet Witch was, in my honest opinion, god-awful. But that's also when I didn't really understand how to play Magneto. Magneto to me felt kind of like Sigma, but I really didn't understand his kit much. His bubble was like a Zarya bubble, but it didn't last as long. His shield reminded me just as Sigma's absorbing ability, and his ultimate basically felt like a Sigma ultimate, except I'm not throwing people onto the ground. Now, when this game came out, Scarlet Witch was with Magneto. Magneto had an ability where his sword, melee ability, would throw a high damage projectile at people. Again, the game was early and I didn't really understand how to play Magneto, so I had missed almost 90% of those projectiles. But his team up with Emma Frost that he has now is phenomenal. He starts to use a clone of himself, which can confuse enemy players, especially if you're doing the side-to-side technique like I like to do a lot. But overall, including all of the things that we just said, I think that Mag, including that he's a big powerhouse, is an easy S tier tank. Undoubtedly. Whether you're in the metal ranks like bronze, silver, or gold, or platinum, to even Diamond like my rank or Grandmaster to Celestial, even all the way to top 500, Magneto is seen in almost every game unless he gets banned. Now, since we've been mentioning her all day, we might as well talk about the true gem that is Emma Frost. Girlie came into the tank game with the ability to go back and forth between an offensive and defensive mode. With the power of her diamond form, she is able to go from using telepathic beams and a 350 health shield that she can place anywhere. She can instead go to the front lines and strangle anything that might be a problem. Whether the issue is a diving Black Panther or Spider-Man and ulting Scarlet Witch, all of it will fall to her CC ability. In this diamond form, you catch an enemy healer, throw them onto the ground, and then to combat it, kick them into a wall to do some extra damage and take them out almost instantly. Now, since Emma could do both sides of the coin really well, you could say that she was possibly unstoppable. You're right, Frost was a dominant tank in competitive starting in Season 2, being able to take down every tank in the game. Your backline was always safe if you had an Emma Frost there. No Black Panther, Spider-Man, or Iron Fist were safe to go on a spree in your backline. If they were in the backline, they would get choked down, slammed onto the ground, and, well, die. Talking about Emma's ult though, Psionic Seduction. What a name. As the game calls it, does high tick damage and shuts down abilities by taking control of the enemy team by pulling them towards you for 2.5 seconds. In Season 3, she had fully been integrated as one of the key tanks of the game. Emma couldn't always be the best for long, since this new season where she's gotten nerfed pretty heavily. So now she does less damage overall and has less survivability. Diamond form doesn't last as long anymore either. Though she can still deal high damage over time, it just takes a little longer. Therefore, I think Emma Frost is an overall A-tier character. And now speaking of another A-tier character in my opinion, Penny Parker. Penny in Season 0 used to be a somewhat annoying, but only towards certain kinds of characters, and those characters being divers. Divers that are primarily ground-based like Captain America, Black Panther, and Wolverine couldn't get past your nest. The nest didn't truly get targeted until Season 1 when you saw more and more people playing her. Though, because of all the ways you could deal with the nest, and the fact that it didn't have much health, and Penny didn't do much damage, she was kind of the worst tank at the time as well. Groot walls underneath a Penny nest would destroy it instantly. Therefore, you wouldn't have to spend time shooting them. So for a long time, Penny would see nothing but the metal ranks in comp for a while, at least for me. Until Season 2.5 dropped and Penny got herself a kick-ass team-up with one of the game's main healers who, until Season 2, didn't have a really great ult, Rocket Raccoon. Rocket's team-up with Penny gave her a huge edge amongst other tanks. This made her go from a C-tier tank to an upper A-tier tank. Her defensive capabilities are absolutely terrifying as well. This gave her another nest, meaning she could cover more area with more mines and rocket armor to boot. This also gave Rocket a nest for his revive beacon, so if anyone wasn't careful about destroying it, they'd get hurt by it, or worse. Plus, if you combined her ult with a nest, Penny could get a lot of value from her mines being laid around the map. She also has her F ability, where she's able to use somewhat of a web for mobility. This she can use to get to higher ground or just to get away from people. So with lots of value in nests that team up in an ult cancelling net, Penny is a solid A-tier tank in my opinion. Now, be prepared to do lots of push-ups, drink lots of juice, because now we're talking about the man who does it all in the pursuit of a better world, Captain America. Steve in this game can be up or down. In metal ranks, you don't really see Captain America much, mainly because there's a high chance if you have a Cap on your team and it isn't the beginning of the season, you could be in for a man going 2-12, blaming the healers and leaving the game halfway. Cap is a dive tank. He goes in, does chip damage, hopefully takes down a healer or two, and leaves. He has the most survivability of any tank, and he has the only ability to run in the whole game. Editor's note, I fact-checked this, and I also played the game today and completely forgot that Black Widow can run, so My bad. Well, at least until they add their first speedster. He also has a high jump with a superhero landing to add upon it, and a shield dash. He also is equipped with his mighty vibranium shield, of course, which he can throw and ricochet off his enemies. His ult, which is called Freedom Charge, is just extra health that he can give to him and his teammates. The big beautiful Boy Scout of the Marvel Comics at this very brief glance is more or less like a DPS, but due to his versatility in protecting his team, deflecting ultimates, and his survivability, his kit proves that he is a tank. But his team-ups, they haven't always been great. In Season 0, his team-up with Thor gave him a extended ability onto his shield to deal more damage by throwing it. But since then, Cap hasn't really had a team-up, until he got his team up with Bucky earlier in Season 3, but that also hasn't been great either. His team up with Bucky isn't really something to boast about. I mean, it's a shockwave that knocks enemies away and deals chip damage. But one thing I can say about it, it's a clean dap up. I've personally never even seen it used properly in other games, other than a thing for mobility. If you have, then I'm gonna be honest, it's pretty cool. Now, I have seen great caps in my game since Season 1.5 where I really saw him being used as well, and personally he's also a lot of fun. So I would put Cap in A tier. Now we'll talk about the tank that shuts down divers and keeps people from running away or getting healed from their healers by blocking them off. It is Groot. Groot is probably the most annoying tank to go up against if it's a good Groot. He has 3 base abilities: the Thornlash Wall, the Ironwood Wall, and the Spore Bomb. Groot's walls have got to be my favorite things in the game. Being able to wall off enemies from their teammates is wonderful. Use of the Thornlash Wall is very good to rack up ult charge and damage, as every time you hit a target, the walls will hit them back and deal said increased damage. You can also place them on any wall, ceiling, or floor, and to angle them as you see fit, giving you higher ground or to save you from falling off the map. You can use Groot's walls almost anywhere. Now, even though those walls have very little health, it is then backed up by his 700 health wall, the Ironwood Wall. You can only use the Ironwood Wall on the ground, but just like the Thornlash walls, you can also move it a tad bit. This wall cannot be moved like a ramp or like a floor, but just sideways or front facing. It's good for blocking ults, people, and sometimes it's a good use to trap someone. Now, if I do talk a little too heavily on Groot, it's a bit primarily because I main him, and I love him. Look at his cute little face. He's so happy all the time. Now, his ultimate can also be an insta-kill on most characters. If they don't have any heal ult, you can use your ult and place a couple walls or a wall behind the people you ulted and do huge amounts of damage in a very fast amount of time. Starting from Season 3, Groot was given a team up with Mantis, one of the best healers in the game. This team up granted him a new wall with a whole new capability as well, the ability to heal himself and others. Instead of doing damage, Groot's Wild Wall, which looks like a Thornlash Wall, has the same health of a Thornlash Wall and would heal everyone around him when placed. It can be placed on walls, ceilings, and floors. Overall, with his capabilities, I'd put Groot in a solid S tier as a tank. Now, going back to diving tanks, since we only have 2 left and the last 2 fit in that category, we'll go on to the scariest tank in my opinion. Venom. Venom is equipped with 4 tendrils that do high damage, a symbiote whip that he swings on, and he can run and crawl and stay still on walls and ceilings where he can then leap onto unsuspecting enemies and slam down on them. He is also paired with an armor boost that gives him extra health depending on how much damage he's taken. There's also then his ult, Feast of the Abyss, which when it's paired with his slam can insta-kill certain characters. This ult makes them go down into the ground, making him incapable of taking damage while being in the ground. Then he shoots up, does high damage, and gains extra health. Though his team up in the game is a little funky, Venom's team up has drastically changed over the seasons. In Season 0, his team up was with Peter and Penny as they were part of a symbiotic bond, giving them both symbiotic abilities while Venom got extra health. It then later evolved to just Peter in Season 1.5, and then to Jeff in Season 2.5, making the symbiotic bond go to symbiotic shenanigans. This ability would give Jeff an ability to link himself to his teammates to heal them, and Venom would still gain extra health. Then at the beginning of Season 3, Hela was added onto the team up, which gave her an addition to her orb ability. It helped keep people from moving for a longer period of time, making it easier to hit them. Overall, with his capability, Venom is great at his job. Being able to get to the backline, do heavy damage, distract the enemy team, and then leave, this demon deserves no spot better for himself than A tier. Now, finally, we reach our end for now, where we finally have our last and newest tank. Raining down spears, soaring through the skies at high speeds, and Thor's older sister, Angela. Small note for Marvel Rivals lore. Just for context clues, Angela in Marvel Rivals and in Marvel 616, which is the main storyline, is the only sister Thor and Loki have, where they don't follow MCU's storyline making Hela Thor and Loki's sister, but instead they follow the true storyline where Hela is Loki's daughter. Now, back to the game. So Angela is quite a funny tank in my opinion. She is right now Marvel Rivals' only flying tank in the game. Sure, Strange has a float ability, but that only lasts for about 6 seconds. But Angela is constantly flying around. She's a tank that I feel should take certain people away from their team and bring them to your own team to deliver heavy damage. Or you could maybe just push them off the map and get rid of them. Now, Angela's kit equips her with 2 weapons and a shield. She can charge people and take them away from their team like said before, and she has 2 axes for when she changes her playstyle from being in the air to being on the ground. The axes are meant to do heavy damage and give her the capability of also closing the gap between her and the ground dominant characters. She can use her shield on the ground, and when it's shot at, it's used to make one of her attacks do more damage than her following attacks. It's easiest to get the boost for these attacks by just flying in the sky, where every bit you fly, it charges up. It's then best paired with her Assassin's Charge ability that she uses to turn your team into a goddamn kebab. But outside of the charge, Angela's damage is kind of subpar. She kind of has a way to do heavy damage, but you need to do an animation cancel for that, so I will personally not count that, mainly because not everyone can do that. It takes time to do, and most people I know that play Rivals aren't on the game 24/7, nor have the availability to do it. And Rivals is just one of those games where you have to learn how to play more than one role just in case. There have been games where my tank spot was taken, and then I either fill out as one of the many healers I know how to play, or if I'm somehow in the place of having to choose a DPS, which rarely happens in my games, I have at least 5 DPS I know how to solidly switch between depending on the team I'm up against. Anyways, I'm off my tirade because I could already smell the comments coming. Now, Angela as an overall tank can be kind of underwhelming. She isn't hard to hit in the air, and nor is she hard to hear in the air, because when she's flying near you, it sounds like your ear is right next to a Boeing 777 engine. Though also in the right hands, not mine of course, because clearly I am not worthy of understanding how to play her yet, she is a force to be reckoned with. Now especially those who time her ult right. Angela's ultimate, dubbed Heaven's Retribution, which keeps people in a single place just like Groot's ult, except they aren't exactly stuck in a single place taking tick damage. They're stuck to ropes and constantly being hit by tick damage from the spikes in the ground that caused by her ult. Now, just like other tanks, Angela has a team up. In this team up, she and her blood brother, Thor, are given a buff. Thor gets his ability to throw a spear, and Angela gets extra health. Now, having these two together makes it so you have to have at least 3. No more than 3 healers on your team, because your backline will practically be dealing with prime Malevolent Creek levels of danger. So here's my assessment of Angela. She can be good, but she's new, and therefore nobody really understands her kit. And therefore stick with the older and more dominant takes like Magneto, Strange, and Emma Frost over her. So right now, she will sit right next to her brother in B tier. And that was it. That was my ranking of all the Marvel Rivals tanks as of Season 4. Who knows? I might reassess some characters later once the new tank comes out, which hopefully isn't soon. Specialists really need some characters, and hopefully it's the 2 characters I'm really thinking about. Now, if you've liked this video, please leave a like down below if you haven't already. It really helps my channel and my videos get noticed on more people's recommended feed. And if you have objections to my rankings, please comment below to tell me whether you agreed with my opinions or if you have differing opinions. I'd love to hear about them. Also, if you want more videos like this one, tell me down below as well, and I'll do a ranking of all the specialists or duelists in Marvel Rivals from a Diamond 1 standpoint. And I'll see you all later, so have a good one.